Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's satsang. Hope you're all having a good day, and I hope you all, in the morning side, you have a good day ahead. Today is the 3rd of December, Thursday. Today we have a song by Vikas. He's going to sing Tu Hi Re, which means you are the one. Then we'll have a talk by Michael. Then Herbji will give us the last part of his talk, Baba Jaimil Singh Ji, Quests for Nam. And then we'll have a short dhyan session, and then we'll proceed to Ishwari's YouTube talk, and then we'll all meditate together with love and devotion. I request now Michael to play Vikas's video.
इन सांसों का देखो तुम पागलपन ये आए नहीं इन्हें चैन मुझसे ये बोली मैं राहों में तेरी अपने बिछा दूं ये नैन इन ऊंचे पहाड़ों से जान दे दूंगा मैं गर तुम ना आए कहीं तुम उधर जान उम्मीद मेरी जो तोड़ो इधर ये जहां छोड़ू मैं मौत आ जिंदगी तेरे हाथों में दे दिया रे तू ही रे तू ही रे तेरे बिना मैं कैसे जीऊं आजा रे आजा रे यूं ही तड़पाना तू मुझको जान जान रे यूं ही सांसों में बस जा तू चांद रे चांद रे आजा दिल की जमीन पे तू चाहत है अगर आके मुझसे मिल जा तू या फिर ऐसा कर धरती से मिला दे मुझको तू ही रे तेरे बिना मैं कैसे जीऊं आजा रे यूं ही तड़पाना तू मुझको जान रे यूं ही सांसों में बस जा तू चांद रे आजा दिल की जमीन पे तू
God morning, everyone. Welcome, my dear brothers and sisters, pilgrims of love, in our brief stay here in this world, where we are all just pilgrims and going to our true home, where we belong. We don't belong here. We belong in something much better, something called God and the kingdom of God. That is our true home. We belong there, and our stay here, we are just pilgrims, pilgrims of love, going to the source of love. Welcome to Ishwar Puri's Ji satsang, where we all gather here in the warmth of his shelter, in the warmth of his love, and in the warmth of his grace. We gather here to fill our cups daily, to fill our cups with his grace, with his love, with his protection, and with his abundance. Um, if we look at the situation of the worldly people, we see that everyone is suffering from loneliness, that everybody here in this world is lonely. And this loneliness is like an open wound, Ishwar Puri Ji says. And people of the world try everything to heal this wound, but they are unsuccessful. They try drugs, and more drugs and more drugs, and then it doesn't work. Then they try sex and more sex and more sex, and then they suffer more and more and more. And then they try so many means and ways of drinking and just trying to watch movies and immerse themselves, but that loneliness disease never gets healed, as there is a void in the heart of each one. And that void cannot be satisfied from things of this world. And that is why people suffer, because they have not connected themselves to the source of love. And what is the source of love? The source of love is the Shabd. Once we are connected with the Shabd, then that Shabd heals us. Once our soul is awakened, connected to Shabd, then that Shabd heals every problem at that moment. Then there is no question who is our Guru, what is the master power, what is the God power, and why we are here. Every problem is settled when our soul is awakened and connected to the master power. That once we are connected to our Shabd, which is the guru. Guru Nanak was asked, "Who is your guru?" And he said, "My soul is the disciple, and my guru is the Shabd." So if I look at myself, I'm like in love with Sant Singh, and I'm in love with Ishwar Puri Ji. Am I in love with their body? I mean, yes, because it holds the full manifestation of the Shabd. So my real love is to what is living in them, and that is Father God. I am in love with Father God. Wherever Father God is living, I will bow there, I will put my head there, and I will kiss the ground of whoever has fully manifested Father God in himself. So I am in love with the power. I'm in love with that Shabd. That is my master. Shabd is my master. And wherever it is fully manifested, that's where I will run. That's where I will put my head. That's where I will receive grace. So it's not the body, because the Guru says, respect the saints. And the saints say, worship the Guru. And who is the Guru? The Guru is the Shabd. The Guru is the Shabd. It's the Sant, Kalam al Qadim, it's the word God, and that Shabd, like the beginning. Oh, I forgot to say thank you for my brother Vic for his beautiful, beautiful Shabd. Um, I loved it. Um, uh, so I was saying that. Um, in the beginning Shabd that we played, it was saying Guru Mata, Guru Pita, Guru Swami, that the Guru is my father, the Guru is my mother, the Guru is my master, the Guru is the present Lord, the Guru is everything. So, how to solve the problem of loneliness? We connect with the Shabd. When we connect with the Shabd, it encompasses everything in the universe, that you cannot add anything to perfection. If something is perfect, you cannot add something to it. And Shabd is perfect. That's why we say it's a perfect master, because he have fully manifested the perfection of the Shabd in him or in her. Like this morning also I played Chan Ji's mom, and Shabd is fully manifested in Chan's mom. If you could look at her eyes, they just speak. Eyes are doorway to the soul. They tell the full story. The eyes tell the full story of what's inside. What's inside of us is revealed from the eyes. And when you look at Ishwar Ji's eyes, or when you look at Chan's mother eyes, what could you see? It's like a vastness and vastness of love, of everything. Their eyes behold eternity. Their eyes behold eternity. And I wish one day Father God will make my eyes just like Ishwar Puri's eyes, Baba Sawan Singh's eyes, Sant Thakur's eyes, and Chan's mom's eyes. That those eyes are so are gorgeous, they are gorgeous perfection. So wherever God is fully living, my soul runs there like a magnet. That's why when I was in India and I went to see Chan's mom and I filled my cup with her grace, my soul dragged me there because it knew that God is living there. It's something very, very beautiful. So, in order to fix any problem, has Shabd is the panacea. Shabd is the solution. So in the morning, I was listening to Shabd. I was listening to the Shabd, and it's so relaxing, so smoothing, so full of bliss and love and God and tranquility and harmony. And I did not want to come out. I did not want to come out. Something was dragging me there. Something was dragging me. Stay here. Fill more, fill more, fill more. It's like a feeling that you don't want to leave there. You don't want to leave there. You want to keep connected. And why do we want to keep connected to the Shabd? Because it's the essence of our essence. It is just our inner truth. It is our source. It is our source. Wherever it came from, that's where our soul wants to end up. It wants to end up into the source of the Shabd. In the beginning was the Word was with God, and the Word was God. That word, that Shabd is so soothing, so beautiful, so melodious, so attracting. It is it solves all the problems, and it will solve the problem of loneliness. That the world here is lonely, the world is suffering, everybody is suffering because they are missing this beautiful gift that can be only given by a perfect living master, that he can connect us with the Shabd, which is the light of God and the sound of God. And everything is in it. It is our father, it is our mother, it is our brother, it is our husband, it is our wife. Everything is contained in that perfection. That is why all saints since time began, they like to stay alone. They like to stay alone. They want to just stay in the Shabd. They want to stay in the Shabd. They want to stay in bliss because everything is in them. They don't need anything from the outside. They don't need to go on vacation. They don't need to start a relationship. They don't need nothing because everything is right here. Everything is right here. So when we vacate, when the disciple vacates the nine openings of the body and comes up here between the two eyebrows and a little bit behind, then he finds Hazur there. He finds Hazur there, working there, and there is the source of all enjoyment, all bliss, all ecstasy, all fun. And when we are here and we manifest Hazur inside of us, then what is needed from the outside? Nothing is needed from the outside. That we can just stay here, we can live here, and we can eat here and drink here. Eat what? The manna of life, the bread of life, and the water of life is given here. here is the source. Here is the source, and that source is the most beautiful thing. Shams Tabriz, one of my favorite saints. Shams in Arabic means sun, S-U-N, sun. Shams Tabriz, who was the master of Rumi, he used to say, "Saints, we may appear to be poor, because he was poor, and he didn't have, like, his clothes were wretched, and he says, we may appear to be poor, but we are richer than the richest mind, richer than the richest mind." And he also said that, what does it matter if we are the king of kings? What does it matter our brief stay in this prison house? It doesn't matter. That he also said that we have a covenant with the Lord, and we do not break that truth. That they have an agreement, a covenant with the Lord to come here to spread the light of God in this world. They do not break that promise. They do not break that truth, and then they go back to their source once their seva has ended. Um, he also said that, like a veritable paradise, we are ever filled with kindly light and heavenly grace. Happily do we live with a cheery heart and a smile on our lip. And then he also says that whenever we are in the physical remnant, in the physical body, we do not annoy anybody, we don't get annoyed from anybody, and we do not vex anybody. That we are that the saints are just peaceful people. They go with the flow. They go with the flow of God, and they just spread their light. They spread their happiness. They spread their intoxication of their master. As if you see a perfect living guru, a perfect living master will never ever say that he is a master. Rather, he would say, I am the shoe wiper of the sun god, as Sant Ajayab used to say. As Sant Kirpal told him, if you want the grace to flow your way, then consider yourself as the servant of the servants of your sun god. So perfect masters, they never claim nothing. However, they just serve. That's why they are the true Savidar. Who is the true Savidar? The true Savidar is the one that serves and serves and serves and keeps on serving, um, and never stops. And like that commercial of the Energizer battery, it never stops. And so they keep serving, and they serve and serve and serve, and they serve with humility. They serve with the humility, and wherever there is humility, there is God. And if you want to look for God, look for the most human person in this world that has the most humility, because water does not stay on the top of the hill, it flows to the lowest place. So, this is my introduction for today. Thank you, Master.
Who are traveling on the same path that I am doing. We are all going towards our spiritual destination, which we believe is our true home. This seeking for a true home comes to us when we feel that the present situation in which we are living is not the kind of life that we would actually like to have. When we get fed up of the life we are leading, we begin to seek something which we believe will be our true home. This seeking is something internal in us. Sometimes we do not know where this seeking is coming from. We try to convert our seeking into searching. We search with our minds, but we seek with something more internal to us. Sometimes we call it our soul. Sometimes we call it our real life that is inside us, something deep within us that is so deep that sometimes we can't even connect it with our thoughts. Our thoughts come from our mind, but we convert our seeking into searching, and then we start searching outside. Because the mind always wants to find answers to its questions from outside. We go all over to different conferences, libraries, books, ashrams, gurus, masters, We are constantly going outside to find answers to a seeking that is going on within our own self. Searching does not give us the true answers to our seeking. In fact, sometimes the searching confuses us more than what we were in before we started searching. Because during our search with our mind, we find there are so many contradictions. People tell us very different things at different places, and we are left confused. Where is the truth? Some people say the truth has to be found within yourself. Our religions speak about it. Our first attempt to find something beyond this world is to look through religion. Our religion teaches us that the truth lies within ourselves. So we must find it within ourselves. We are told the kingdom of God is within ourselves. We are told the truth of our own being is within ourselves. We ourselves feel that whatever is our self is within ourselves, not outside. It appears to be within not only ourself, within ourself as we see it today, as a body, as a human body. The human body seems to be containing the self. Then why are we running outside all the time? If the truth lies inside, why do we go outside? If we want to find an answer to this very basic question, that we all know the truth is inside, why are we running outside? Running far off places to search for truth. Some people have left their homes and gone into forests. Some have gone into high mountains. Some have gone into ashrams lying far away. Some have left their countries to go to other countries to find the truth. When all the time we are told that the truth is lying inside your own body, which you are moving all around to find the truth. They give the example of the musk deer, who has a smell of the musk coming from inside. He does not know, the deer does not know where it's coming from. Runs all over the forest, gets tired and falls down, tired, not knowing where this smell is coming from. The smell is coming from within itself. We have our awareness of the self from within ourselves. We are even trying to find our true self outside of ourselves. How can that happen? Why don't we go within and find the truth? The answer, of course, again is simple. We do not know how to go within. We do not know what is within. We have no idea what is within. Within the body is just a biological feature. It's an anatomy. If you look at the anatomy of the body, it's a wonderful machine. A wonderful machine, and we know that a bulk of the decision making in the machine is taking place in the head, in the brain. That's all we know. Brain is just a clump of grey matter, but we do not know anything more than that. But when we are talking of the ultimate self, obviously we are talking of something more than this body. We are talking of something that is making us alive and conscious and aware, which is giving us the power to see the world, to think for ourselves, to imagine things. These are wonderful opportunities that we can look out with our eyes, touch the world with our hands, smell with our nose, have all the five senses to experience this world with this body. It's wonderful to have sense perceptions which just give us an idea of an external experience that is going on, into which we are running to find answers to how the experience is being generated. We want to know what's the secret of creation of this universe. Also, some very fundamental questions. Why are we here? Why are we born as human beings? Is there a purpose to life, or just a random appearance in a series of experiences in which we find there are many others experiencing the same world like us? Millions, billions of people around us on this planet, one small planet. We don't know how many planets there are carrying populations like ourselves. Where are we looking for? Then religion tells us you have to believe. You have to believe something in order to satisfy these questions. You cannot find the answers in a simple way, in the way we find answers to other questions. Here you have to believe something. You have to believe there is a God. You have to believe there is a creator. And since you have to find the truth within yourself, you have to find the God within yourself. So far, so good. But then the question is, if God is within ourselves, and we have to ourselves find God within ourselves, is there any role that an outside person can perform in it? We talk of masters, gurus, teachers, guides. What is their role if our whole path to God realization, to discover the truth of ourselves, is all within ourselves? Do we need an agent outside for a travel to our own kingdom of God? Are these gurus and all merely agents that were sitting outside? These are very basic questions. If God is within us, we should be able to find God without any agent outside. The only thing required is that we should know how to go within. If we do not know how to go within, there could be a case made out that you could find from somebody who says, I can tell you how to go within, and then get that guidance. That is legitimate, to get some guidance, because when we say go within, what do we mean by it? We should close our eyes. Otherwise, we're looking outside. If we close our eyes, maybe we will be able to look something inside. When we close our eyes, it is dark, because the light with which we were seeing outside is blocked with our eyelids. We can't see. So we open our eyes and see the world again. We close our eyes and see nothing. Therefore, we give up. But there is something we can see even with our eyes closed. Now that's the most important point I want to bring to your attention. That if you close your eyes while you are looking outside, you will stop seeing what is outside, it will be dark. But if you close your eyes and use something else, not trying to see anything, but try to imagine something. When you imagine something, you begin to see. Isn't that remarkable that we can imagine anything and then we can start seeing with our eyes closed? Not only with eyes closed, we can sit in a completely dark room with no light at all and close our eyes and imagine we are remembering a friend of ours whom we met yesterday, and we can see the face of that friend in front of us. Obviously, these eyes are closed. Obviously, there is no light. How are we looking at the friend's face with our eyes closed in darkness? Are those eyes that are looking at it? Certainly not these eyes. These are closed. Do we have some other eyes that we can use when we imagine something in utter darkness? Are there another set of eyes we have? And are we the same being who are imagining and seeing things, the same person, the same being, the same self who are seeing outside, or is there somebody different? Very interesting point. I am only talking of seeing with eyes of imagination, with these eyes closed. Can we do other things also with other sense perceptions? Can we, for example, see flowers? We can see these flowers outside. Can we imagine flowers inside? Just imagine. Can we smell them? Can we have the fragrance of the flowers? If you try, you will find all of us can smell the flowers, with no flowers existing at all, except in our imagination. Can we touch them? Yes, we can. Can we taste food by imagination? Yes, we can. The whole point I'm making is, does imagination give us an experience of other eyes, other hands, other ears, other taste, mouth, all five senses are intact inside through imagination? Whose eyes are those? Whose ears are those? That we can imagine we are hearing things, we can imagine we are seeing things. Why am I emphasizing this point is because our whole idea of what is real in this world is based upon these five senses. If I want to say, is this table real sitting next to me? I can say, yes, I can see it, I can touch it. I use a second sense perception and I can say it is real because I use my sense perception. Or I can, is this water real? I can take a sip of it, it tastes good, it is real. Do we have any other means of finding the reality of this universe other than our sense perceptions? Deep question. Do we know what is real in what we are experiencing in any way other than through our five sense perceptions? The answer comes no. A very strange answer. That all our definition of reality of our experiences is entirely 100% based upon our sense perceptions. Just because we have five of them, we use one against the other to establish the level of reality. If we could only see this world, but not smell it, touch it, or taste it, we would be doubtful. Maybe we are just seeing a picture, maybe it's imagination, maybe it's not real. But then we touch things, then we smell things, then we use other sense perceptions. And therefore it's real. But if that is so, when I imagine something, I can also see it, I can also touch it, I can also smell it, I can also taste it. Why does it not look real? It still looks imaginary. If the sense perceptions are creating my reality, then when I close my eyes and imagine things, that should also look real. It looks unreal because I'm imagining it. Now, supposing I altogether forget the reality outside, completely, which we all do every day when we go to sleep. When we go to sleep, we are unaware of our body, we are unaware of our eyes, unaware of all the sense perceptions, and then in the middle of the sleep, we have a dream. While the dream is taking place, we can see things, touch things, and we use the same things which we are doing now to establish it is real. The dream is real. When does the dream become unreal? When we wake up in the morning and say, oh, it was only a dream. The body is still here. In the dream, we thought we are going somewhere, running far away, but when we wake up, we get nowhere. We are still in the same bed, sleeping in the same bed. What is it that turns away the reality that during dream we feel real? I can tell you with certainty, if you saw me in a dream talking to you, and I said, is this table real? And I said, I can touch it, is real, you'll believe everything you are seeing is real. Just like you are believing now it's real. But if you are awake, you will not believe it, it becomes imaginary. If you are awake and then seeing things at the same time, when you also know your awareness is that you are awake in this body and you are sitting on a chair, you are imagining things, which are not the same as what you are experiencing here, they look imaginary. When you go to sleep, you are not aware of your body. If you were aware of your body and had a dream, it's called a daydreaming, never real. Daydreaming is never real, real dream is real. I can apply the same test in a dream. In a dream, I say, is this real? I touch it. Is the water real? I taste it. Same things, and we say it's real. In the dream, sometimes we come to know it's a dream. Strange feeling comes. It's a dream. What do? We tell the people around us, do you know it's a dream? The body that is telling people it's a dream, is that real? Is it ourself? It is ourself. Because when we wake up, we discover, you say, I told people in the dream it was real. That means the body you took in the dream was still your body. But you're not this body. This was sleeping. Do you have two bodies? One you use in your dreams and one you use when you're awake? Do you have three bodies? One you use in your dream, one when you are awake, and one when you are imagining? When you imagine, supposing we were to close our eyes and imagine we are flying in the sky. Everybody can do that. It's imaginary. We close our eyes and we say we are imagining we are flying in the sky. That's a body flying in the sky. We can even see the sky, the blue sky with the clouds. We are imagining those things. Is that a third body we have? How many bodies do we have that we are using it constantly without realizing that we are focusing only on one body, which we say is a physical body with this anatomy is real? Dream is not real. Imagination is not real. But it's the same self that is using all the three bodies. And they are not one body, they are three. Distinctly three. In the dream, you go far away. You are not where you are sleeping on the bed. You're dreaming, you're walking far away, experiences far away, meeting people far away, doing things far away. And even discovering it's a dream, you're still far away from where you are sleeping. You have no idea when you say it's a dream, no idea that you're lying in a bed. You're talking as if that's a real person and it's yourself. The most amazing thing is that no matter how many bodies you create, the self is still the same. There is one common factor in all these. The self is still the same. Can we make any use of this information? I say a lot of use can be made to discover the nature of the self. The first thing known is the self can have several bodies. And the reality of each body is created by the sense perceptions of that body. Simple truth. We are creating the reality of physical world from the sense perceptions of a physical body. We create the reality of a dream by the sense perceptions of the dream body. We create the reality of the imaginary self with the sense perceptions of the imaginary body. Imagine the role our sense perceptions are playing. And imagine they are not connected with this body at all. When we use eyes to see something in the dream, these eyes, they have some connection. What? The eyes are moving rapidly. Rapid eye movement is taking place in this body, and we are running around all over the world in the other body. I remember in 1962, when I first came to the United States, the subject of dreams and sleep was a very interesting subject being studied by a lot of institutions. Even some universities were going into it. But there was one institution called the Sleep Institute. I joined them just to understand what have they found about sleep and dreams. Why do we dream? Are dreams taking us to another dimension of life, or are we just creating it from our own subjective self? What is the nature of dream? So it was very interesting to see how they used to put subjects to sleep, put cameras on them, and all the EKG stuff on them, so that their measurement of the vital forces, what dreams, what they are seeing in the dreams, are they creating effect upon this body? Those are the studies going on. And it was a surprising experience to find that we all dream several times every night. And 90% of us don't remember the dreams at all. 90% of us say we never dream. Or rarely we dream, we remember once in a while. And there we found every subject that came in was every few minutes dreaming, and dream was not lasting more than 12 minutes. Sometimes 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 12 minutes, person would shake and go into deep sleep. After some time, dream again, the eyes would start flutter. The way we could know a person is having a dream is because every time the eyes were moving rapidly, the eyelids were moving rapidly, we could wake up the person, say, "What are you seeing?" And they would tell us the dream. And we used to interrupt their sleep just to find out what dream they are having. And the eyelids were moving rapidly up and down, so we woke up the person. "What are you seeing?" "Oh, I'm seeing a waterfall." Now the waterfall is a vertical experience and the eyes are moving vertically. Another person's eyes are moving horizontally. We wake him up. "What are you watching?" "Oh, I was watching a tennis match." That means what they are experiencing, sensory perception inside, is being shown on the physical body somehow. But just by seeing that, we could not know what they are dreaming. We had to wake them up to find out what they are seeing. The most amazing thing we found was that the descriptions they gave of their dream had no relation with the time it took to dream. In one case, I remember, one person, we woke up and we said, "What were you dreaming?" Because his eyes fluttered in different directions at different moments. So we knew it's a very complex dream going on. So when we woke up that person and said, "What were you seeing?" He said, "I was remembering my childhood, and I remember why I was going to school. I was carrying my books with me. And there I met a girl whom I liked very much. She was my sweetheart. Then I remember we got married in a church, and I still remember the whole marriage ceremony. Then I remember we got kids, and I still remember all my kids. Then I grew old. Then one of my kids got married, and I became a grandpa. And then you woke me up." All this happened in 3 minutes. His whole life he lived, and we woke him up in 3 minutes when the fluttering started. And we found so many cases, people described a life of several years dreamt, and actually it took only 7 minutes. So it was very interesting to see that the time that we experience in another alternate state, in a dream state, is not the same that we experience here. Do we also alter the time when we go into an imaginative state? That's a good experimentation to do. If we imagine we are there, do we also alter the time? Yes, experimenters have shown if you can imagine deeply, that's the key word, not merely imagine. Because when you merely imagine, it is like a daydream. In daydream, you never feel that that's real, you. You always feel this body is real, I'm thinking of something else. And imagination, while you're still thinking of this body, is not real, it's imaginary. What is the meaning of deep imagination? Let us say we imagine so much at such a place in our body which helps us to become unaware. Unlike going to sleep, when we are automatically tired and the body needs rest, and the cycle, biorhythmic cycle has been set up that we automatically feel like going to sleep and we go to sleep. In imagination, there nothing has been set up. Can we create a biorhythm of our own? Can we create a rhythm by which we can imagine something to the extent that we become unaware of this body like we do in a dream? Can we do that? Yes, the experimenters have said it can be done. And what is the method? Now I'll tell you the method of going into an imaginative state and go into that state while becoming unaware of this physical body. Then you see what happens. How do you do it? First say, where do you imagine anything? Then we want to close our eyes. Where are we imagining things from? Are we imagining in our hands? No. Legs, feet? No. Torso? No. Heart? No, not really. We are imagining behind the eyes, always. Whenever we close our eyes and imagine something, we are imagining it in front of these eyes, nowhere else. Okay, let us say that the imaginary point from where we actually imagine anything is behind the eyes. And we close our eyes and we imagine we are there. Not in this body. We are there in our imaginary body. With imaginary hands, we close our eyes, and with these hands down below, we imagine we have raised our hand and have touched our eyes. We can do that. Anybody can do that. That we just imagine that these hands are down below, but in my imagination, I am sitting there and I put my hands on my eyes. I can wave my hand, I can look at my hands. Now, if you can do that imaginary thing, then you can also think, can I speak there? Yes, you can speak. Can you hear what you are speaking? Yes. Can you imagine you have a friend there and you are talking to that friend? Of course you can. Let's imagine that you are imagining you are sitting behind the eyes and imagining having conversation with somebody. What will happen? If the conversation is really interesting and you get involved in it, and if your conversation leads to an argument and you want to prove your point to your friend, and if you are going to fight with your friend, do you know what will happen? If you try this imaginative exercise, you will be exchanging blows with your inner hands, and these hands will just move a little bit outside, and you will not even know you have these hands at the same time as you are having that. What are you really doing? What you are doing by trying to imagine something is to put your attention on your imaginative self. That's all. Supposing we understand this is what is happening, that we are putting our attention on our imaginary self. And we are creating more activity. So more attention is drawn there. The obvious result will be we will gradually don't know where the outside body of ours is. We won't know where the hands and feet have gone. We won't know where the legs have gone. We won't know the torso have gone. We will begin to believe that is ourself. If we can lose complete awareness of the physical body by this imaginative exercise, something very strange happens. I know nobody has done it. It's a deep exercise. It's called deep imagination. Deep imagination is all your activities that you do with your physical senses, with your thoughts, with your ideas, they're all being done there with the imaginative self. If you do that and you become unaware of this body, you will find that the imaginative body that you found was actually more real. The sense perceptions are far better than you ever had on this body. Not only that, the biggest thing that happens is that you can start remembering what you did yesterday with that self, what you did last week, not with this body, with the inner self that's all started off with imagination. You can even remember what you did 100 years ago. Your imagination is really creating a memory of yours that happened 100 years ago. Are you feeling that your imaginary body can remember something that happened before this body was born? Is it possible?
Okay, my dear holy family, it's time for love. It's time to forget about the body below and the world outside and come up here to where the King of Love is present. Have few nice words for the King of Love and repeat the Simran of the holy name slowly with the tongue of thought, with intervals, or listen to the holy Shabd. And I wish you the best meditation. I hope to see you tomorrow for another holy day and Holy Father God. And I'll keep Zoom on for 20 minutes so we can meditate together.